Okay. I'm going to read it to you. What is interesting, calculated from 5 calendars still used today. But this 7,000 year from Herbert R Stollorz is a new calendar, dated, no correction. On Pearl 65, 265, you will see it. Check it out. It's all the difference of 2 asteroids was embedded and recalculated from 5 different calendars ignored by atheistic universities. Well, right. No university ever postulate could be a wobble. They read that in ancient time there was Caesar, right? Julius Caesar, he changed the calendar. But all the PhDs who get these high salaries never thought about it. Why would he change a calendar? And December is 10. He had 10 months in his calendar. So why would he change it and insert July, August, Julius, Augustus, his son, Caesar, 2, and put 2 moon cycles in there. What for? Then they never asked that question, but you know, I know the difference. They don't want to know. They don't want to tell you, because then you have to agree that the Bible is correct.
Okay.
It's all embedded in the Bible.
But an insert to
there has to, like Newton's laws, right?
Yeah.
There is a cause, and then you have a reaction.
Yeah.
What you see is only a reaction.
No.
Caesar had a big army in Europe, and all around in Africa, and in Greece, all around there. If you look at the old map, right? He had a calendar. And there is 10,000 soldiers stationed here, 10,000 soldiers stationed there and there. Somewhere around, the generals complained to him, we got a big problem. We got to feed 10,000 soldiers, and every time the food doesn't get there in time, and these guys who are supposed to bring the food, right, they say, well, we did it according to this calendar, and then this calendar, and that calendar. Because the empire was big, obviously we have time zones, right? Like in America, in Russia there's 7, or in China different. Here's the story then. The generals came to him, complained, the food doesn't get there, so he says, well, maybe we need a unified calendar. You know, everybody has a different calendar. You know what different calendar we have? We have a Hebrew calendar, we have a Chinese calendar, there was an Aztec calendar, still known. Then Daniel lived 500 years before Christ. He has a different calendar. The theologians try to figure that out because they're not educated in science, they don't know. Therefore, these are called the experts together, and there were some Hebrew guys and says, hey, we got a bronze clock now. Antikythera clock fished out of the ocean in Athens Museum. Check it out. But our scientists will not decode it because it will prove again the Bible is right. So all the ancient clocks, thousands of years old, they're in museums. They won't look at them. Now, but clocks do measure sign.
Put a dollar sign on it, they will go. Put
$100 sign? No.
Put $100, they will
That's the problem. These PhDs in universities get paid so big salaries and pensions.
Yeah.
And where's the money come from? The New York bankers in New York. They're printing money, and they're paying every university huge grants to suppress knowledge, which was there. Of course, the biggest knowledge is the Bible, suppressed. You know what the next knowledge is? 100 years ago, 2 people discovered free energy. Nikola Tesla discovered electricity in gravity. When I discovered that gravity is magnetic, and when it's magnetic, you rotate it, when you get free electricity. And I wrote a little something for dummies.
Yeah.
So if you want to become to the Dummies Club for becoming millionaires, check it out. But
Which
what
book is it? Which number?
there's no number, just go on my website and you'll find it on the right-hand side. There's for Dummies Energy. And then is Hoffman, also 100 years ago. He invented what? He said, oops, we can split water in hydrogen and oxygen, and if it wasn't for that, we could never had a rocket. From Werner von Braun, build a rocket with hydrogen going to the moon, allegedly to the moon, if you believe that fairy tale. Now, why don't we use hydrogen in cars, stinking cars? And recently, Volkswagen found out that they lied to American government. Our cars are pollution-free, but a lie. And you know the other cars, it's the same problem, but it isn't yet brought about because the news is controlled by the bankers who own all the news stations,
You need money
all
for
the
it.
papers.
You need money to do anything, so
Okay,
obviously money
let me
talks.
let me go back. This is really interesting. There's 5 calendars we still use today. But they will not put them together. They have all the computers in NASA. They won't put them together because they would prove the Bible to be right. And the Bible is discarded, a stupid book. The history of mankind, 6,000-year-old, 40 brilliant people wrote about it, and they're stupid people? I don't know. I'll think a little logically here. Universities don't want it. They ignore it. You know what they teach?
College.
The monkey story becomes the grandfather. And there was a big boom. There was the explosion
And then
billion years ago.
After this, everything was perfect.
You know, they will never know what life is. They will never understand why we have a mind. They will never understand the intelligence embedded into form proteins. 80,000 proteins are formed to make a cell in your body. They will not understand what is the information. And you know what they did? They're screwing it up with GMO. Monsanto is screwing up the food, and next year you're going to see massive people dying and food shortage. It's ignored, but when there's no more food in the store, then people will wake up saying, how come government doesn't give us food? The government cannot give food when it's screwed up by the scientists. And they allowed the FDA, the biggest crooks, they allowed them. Okay? Physics teaches nature. Nature is always embedded nature, physics. And physics cannot be violated. It can't. If you have no food, you die. If you change the intelligence in the food cell, but it's less than 100%. And when it's less than 100%, it cannot survive.
That's true.
And
If you touch anything and change the nature of it, it doesn't work anymore. Do you know?
Okay, so now I want to start it.
All right.
So, you know, this is, my Babushka books were started 10 years ago.
Yeah. 10 years ago.
And you want to sit down?
Yeah.
All right. My Babushka books were started 10 years ago. And when you start out, you know just a little bit. But every year, knowledge is added to you. When God gives you knowledge from the other side, metaphysics, you read the Bible, whoa, I discovered here, discovered there. Hundreds of facts in the Bible, science. real science suppressed by our universities. They don't want to hear the science embedded in the Bible because they want to believe the evolution religion from Satan.
Yeah,
right?
but as a professor, they sitting on university, they cannot change these programs. I mean, you know, you can only blame the highest
if
people.
they would just point out the Bible said, they got fired from their jobs.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And they have a big pension. They have a lot of things at stake. So what you hear, I feel sorry for these guys. Really sorry, because when you see true science here, and then you're not allowed to teach true science, that's a conflict. I couldn't live with that conflict.
You never know, because
And I'm an old man now, retired. I can say what I want to say, right? But anyway, let's look back. There were no billions of years, but they postulate, right?
Mm.
The Hebrew first page has there is a Hebrew alphabet number system I discovered, and the system is based on a base 7. The binary language is a computer language is base 2. The Roman calendar is base 10, right? But the Hebrew is base 7. And if you know mathematics, then you will know that. And there's another calendar which is base 60. We still have a circle with 60 minutes and 60 seconds and a clock, right? Where'd that come from? You know, it's 4,000 years old. It's a base 60. So which one do we use, right? So we have 5 calendars we still use today, modern. The Hebrew is, some people are Hebrew, they use their calendar, and we use the Gregorian calendar. Well, that's our Pope in the Middle Age, but 2,000 years ago, there was Caesar. Well, they used a different calendar. Well, Noah used a different calendar. And what was before Noah? Genesis. Methuselah was 969 years old. This is not possible if you know science today. To be 1,000 years old, it's not possible. So it's a different calendar. The earth had a different spin. And they saw 7 solstices 7 times in one going around the earth, the sun. Therefore, you have to look at different calendars, but nobody put them together. I did. So we have a 7,000-year Hebrew calendar, but here's another problem. You notice in my first Babushka books, it's not 7,000, it's 7,500 years. And I said, wait, Lord, what's this 500 year difference? So how does that integrate in something I don't know yet? I said that Satan rebelled 4488 BC. And if you look at in this calendar here, that was written 10 years ago. Look at it. You know that all the dates are 490 years different.
Really?
You know Daniel, 7 times 70, Daniel said is 490 years. And they all end with, the ending is 8888888, all the way down. But then I discovered in the Aztec calendar, look at it in the outdoor museum in Mexico City, they have a 20-ton clock made out of stone. They made it out of some wood that wouldn't be around anymore. But Noah's boat then and others we don't know. But here there's an Aztec clock, which is 4,000 or 5,000 years old. And there's the number 8. Everywhere is the number 8. And you know what 8 is? Means shed. Hebrew. And you know what that is? The apocalypse.
You must be kidding.
It's in a shed. There's the sign age of 7, and then comes shed in a small section, the birth pangs. And what happened after that? Death, 9, new life. God's kingdom on earth. All matches. And I discovered that the cycles, the names are there in Hebrew. So I never knew Hebrew. Well, the Gentile. I learned, and then I found out that the Hebrew calendar is screwed up. Last year I found out, because we're getting to the end, when I say, whoops, something happened here, I must be off somewhere, and then I discovered, and all the theologians, they're looking up in the sky and they see the moon, tetramoons, well, nothing, apparently. You know why you can hear nothing? Because it's controlled by the New World Order bankers. They bought every newspaper, every TV station. They will not reveal what happened on the tetraploid moon. That is still silent.
So what happened? What?
Big time.
What happened then? They didn't say.
Well, you know what they don't tell you?
Yeah.
There's food riots around the world. The food is collapsing. Read my bills.
This is because of the moon, right? Because of the moon.
The moon is only an indication of God's wrath. He's pointing like Jonah. Jonah goes to the king and says, your history in 40 days, right?
All right.
That's a sign. What was the sign? A big fish. We got a big fish now on the web. I rediscovered what Tesla and Hoffman invented 100 years ago, free energy. That's a big fish in science. Huh? I'm a scientist. And that big fish should convince you what the university and the government is trying to suppress. And why did they take the Bible and throw them out? Because they want to destroy the Christian culture everywhere worldwide. The Christians are murdered, chopped off heads, and in America, if you said you're Christian, you're thrown out of the school system, you're thrown out in politics, you're thrown out everywhere. And you're put in jail for 10 days. And the criminals who murdered, they get bail, but not Christians.
Christians are dangerous.
And if you're in the United States Army, if you're a chaplain and you say in Jesus' name, you get court-martialed and you're out and you lost your pension. Okay, I said enough, but here's 7,000 years. So where's the difference of 500 years? There are two calendar changes. Cause Newton's law, there has to be a cause, you have a reaction. When you got when you have a calendar change under 2,000 years ago, Julius Caesar, what was the cause? There was an asteroid in Noah's days which caused the flood, and the asteroid hit the earth, and I cranked backwards the sky, the zodiac sky, and came up with the date 5 February. 2287.
BC.
2288 BC is Noah. And then just 47 days later, like he said in his records, he was in the ark.
What did he say?
God closed the ark and salt stick, and he was in the ark 30 days, 17 days, and then it hit. Guess what? There was an asteroid. We have another asteroid coming. Oh, it's ignored by science, but there it is. And we know the name, and it's just a big asteroid, mothership. The mothership is coming, but around the mothership is orbiting a little guy, the baby, 1 mile, and that's the one that's sucked in.
But not one, there's a million of them, right? Or only one?
No.
Only one around it?
And millions of universe objects out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's only one photograph. One.
Why?
And not only this, usually it's a single asteroid. Never ever recorded an asteroid with an orbit baby. Never.
So what does
Appointed by God to hit this earth. You want to know the date? There.
17. September.
You know that 17 September is not just September this year, 2015.
2017.
The old calendar in Genesis, the Aztec calendar, where the earth was going in a different wobble, it stopped at 17 September. And a new calendar, 47 days later, no reports. I don't know the year anymore, but here are the days. And he says 40 days, 150 days. Well, after 150 days, it was 1 year. Wait a minute. If you add that up, then a year had 2 cycles in 1 year. And guess what? It was verified in Germany. They found, the farmer found in his field a bronze clock, a bronze shield, you know, something like this big, 3 foot thick, with gold signs on it, the sickle, gold, and there's gold, and so, bronze, green. You know, it's all green from really old. And then one lady, a scientist, came up and it says, I think there's a calendar and I think it has 2 cycles in 1 year. They told the lady, if you don't shut up, we'll fire you. But she was right. I looked at the picture in the newspaper while going from Germany, and it was in the airport, and I had to wait on my plane to America, and I see 2 pages, newspaper, with this huge plate on there, and immediately I knew what was happening. And I ordered the Pearl 10 years ago. You can read it. In the meantime, this lady showed up, and what I said, she said the same thing. There's 2 witnesses. When you go in a court of law and you have 2 witnesses, you have a pretty good case. You got 3rd witness, this is better. And I have lots of witnesses, more. If you're a theologian, or if you believe the Bible, you gotta have 5 witnesses if you postulate anything. So when you say the apocalypse is 7 years, where are your 5 witnesses? You don't have them. Maybe you have 1. But it could be squeezed, or, you massage it a little bit, and you get 7 years. Like I did when I was ignorant too. It's not 7 years. It's not 3.5 years like theologians say. Oh, no, it's much shorter. Here's the thing. This is God's wrath. You think God, who is love in heaven, who is going to punish his earthlings for years and years, and month in starvation, and this and that, diseases and other things. No. God is love. And when you see Sodom and Gomorrah, it didn't take month and month to destroy it. It was very, very short. And when Noah's boat was floating, that was very, very short. And if you want to know about science, which is suppressed in universities, I invite you to read my Babushka eggs. There's another one, and there's another one. By the time you get to the last one, you know the whole story. But you can't write it up in 1 egg. The egg would be too big. So I have to break it down a little bit. Check it out. But it's suppressed in universities, not come to conclusion. What we see now, the 500 years difference. Before mankind came on earth, there was a cycle there where God says the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day. And I discovered, it could be 70 years each day. It's all small. It's not billion years, 70 years. Because 70 is everywhere in the Bible. But then I said, there is still 500 years, 7 times 70 is 490. Daniel's calendars, cycles, that's Hebrew. I said, the Bible says in Revelation, which was 2,000 years, 500 years later from Daniel, it says, John comes on the page and sees Revelation in heaven, and then says, there will be 1,000 years of peace on earth. So everybody knows, oh, God's kingdom on earth is 1,000 years. Maybe. Maybe the clock in heaven is different than the clock on earth. And I discovered something, that the clock up there in heaven is different than the clock on earth. I discovered that in calendars, right? And I found out the possibility that now we get another axis change with another asteroid coming. We're going to have a new calendar. I don't know what that, it's going to be tropical again, because why I'm a scientist, the first asteroid, the Earth is turning, right? Turning that way. When the asteroid comes against the turning, it piles up everything up front. And then they looked at the Earth and says, where is the possibility of an asteroid impact in the southern Gulf of Mexico? Or what's in front of it? Mountains and north and south of the Earth. Huge mountains, piled up. Because, and what happened on this side? It ripped apart the ocean when Europe and Asia kept on going. So the impact was this way against the rotation. Now this new asteroid coming, is in the direction of our rotating Earth. And then comes that little 1 mile orbit stone. Guess what? In the direction we do less harm, because God says there will never be a flood again. How would you have a flood? Well, when an asteroid comes and stops the Earth here and piles up, when the ocean goes this way and continents go that way, you're going to have a gigantic waves. And then you have a wobble, and then the Earth goes whoosh, 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 and you go to San Francisco on the other side of the bridge, and they've got a road in there, and you look it up, and you see 40 layers. Fine silt, coarse rock. Fine silt, coarse rock. Fine silt, 40 layers I count. Whoa, 40 times. And the ocean goes this way and that way. And you know it's pooped out in Gaza? Pyramids, the biggest one. Why? On top, you still see the veneer, smooth stone. Underneath, all rough. And in 1800, when Napoleon got his army there, the Sphinx was buried right up to the neck. Only the head looked out. When they used it as for cannon practice. And they cut the nose off. We're pretty good cannoneers. And then they dug it out for tourists, and it's 100 feet, 150 feet. So now you see washed out on the pyramid, all the veneer plates are gone. Who stole them? The flood. But the scientists, the universities are pointed from the monkey story. Sorry. And they cannot tell the good story because they don't want to lose their salaries and pension.
Or they don't know it.
And suppress for 100 years free energy. Therefore, once more, their calendar is correct in the Bible, 7,000 years. Salt stick! I always say salt stick because we cannot measure a calendar. When the calendar, when our Earth axis is moving this way and that way for 100 years, when it comes vertical, you cannot measure time. The sun turning around, there's no marker on the sun. There's no salt stick because salt stick is not pointing to the sun, it's pointing in the sky. how you measure time. And the generation who lived here, 100 years later there, they said, we know we have an exponential declining calendar, but we need to measure artificially what is the decline, and they built clocks at different centuries.
So it would not be night and days?
And the clock showed them the decline from here to there. And if you go in museums around the world, you see clocks everywhere. And there's a big one in Graz, in Prague, church tower. And it always has two dials. There's a big dial and a small dial. And the small dial is the backwards wobble. In Moses' time, there was only one wobble left around solstice. One time. Before Moses, in Noah's time, there was 2 times after the asteroid. There was 2 times proven by the German scientists in this plate they found. And embedded in many other facts I fished out and put in my Babushka books, here and there. And it all matches. Therefore, once more, the 500 years difference, I discovered then that the next calendar will reverse back to what was before, becomes tropical. When gold diggers in Alaska were taking bulldozers and were digging out, looking for gold, they only found bones from tropical animals. There were tropics up there, and if you go in Greenland, you see coal deposit. Greenland! Stone and ice. There's tropical climate? Yes. That was before Noah's time, 2288 BC. And since the asteroid comes now in the direction of the Earth's rotation, we're going to revert. It is like this. It's a short science. You look at a boat and it has stones in the bottom of the boat to keep the mast upright. And so when you're sailing, and it goes this way, that way, with force, when the wind doesn't blow, it goes upright. The stones in the bottom make the mast go upright. Now, when a big wave comes, and goes over the boat, and really tips it over, some of the stones rolled over on the side. When the boat came back, it was tilted. The Earth axis tilted.
The center of gravity changed.
That's Newton, see? Now we have the Earth tilted. That means the ballast inside the Earth center is offset. But when the asteroid comes in the opposite direction, the stones will roll back normal. And we have the same climate like they had in a coal deposit. Big animals. Big plants.
Could it be this time when God can put his hand on the earth, or
the asteroid put it back where it was?
But is it the same time God would be putting his hand and we live in peace and people start loving each other, or what?
When the atheists are gone, when Satan's friends are gone, no more, they're gone. The next generation, children growing up, they only speak one language, Hebrew. They only will see one school taught by one system.
Okay.
You will not have churches anymore. Any artifacts from churches and temples, gone, flooded over.
Is this when the asteroid hit, does this mean God wanted to hit so he can have it tilted?
He programmed it.
So it wasn't like something it's just by accident.
Enoch is the first guy who built the pyramid, the Great Pyramid in Gaza. And embedded in his pyramid all the math we use, all of them. But there's a professor, and I want you to, he had created a wall chart, 10 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot, all along my, my living room. And is the World Chart of World History by Professor Edward Hall. He has a lot of PhD degrees in England. Go buy that book, put it on, and what do you see? That's the first witness. Is the first witness dovetailed everyone who ever ruled on earth, who was a big king or somebody important. He pointed it out, and it goes right down to Adam and Eve, or there's the day. So, if you want to check that out, then you want to check another witness, that Enoch built a pyramid. When inside the pyramid, you see something going up, going down, and there's one chamber, the queen chamber, the king's chamber. When he found out that every inch is 1 year. And then when you go up the gallery, it's 188 inches. When you know the system of the pyramid, then you find out that leading in the king's chamber, that gallery, is God's kingdom on earth. The gallery, bigger, going directly in the king's chamber. The King of Kings is Jesus Christ. And guess what? When you calculate all these years, they match. But this year is shorter. And the shorter is the 500 years. So that means the 1,000 years in Revelation basically is only 490 years long. In the new calendar, and if you get the new calendar, put it together, it's exactly 7,000 years solstice. And you can base it on maybe Julius, because the Julius is in the middle. And I used Julius to calculate the 1,000 years of Methuselah. When I used Julius Gregorian calendar on the new calendar, if you use Julius as a reference, there's 7,000 solstice years. Now, prove me wrong. Go check it out, prove me wrong. And that means in the Gaza pyramid was embedded the apocalypse, the date. And what's the date? Once more, I'm going to finish it. 1 Tishri. 1, the first, Tishri. 5777. What happened there? That's the start of God's kingdom on earth. What happened before? This atheistic generations who totally screwed up science, everything in life is becoming extinct, has to go. Yep. If God doesn't do it, then Satan will gloat and say, I won! It's not going to happen. Satan will come to earth, and when he shows up, God grabs him and puts him chained in the underworld. Guess what? The next 500 years or 1,000 years, depending which calendar you use, there is peace on earth, prosperity.
So,
you know why you're prosperous?
Yeah.
There are no more bankers.
Yep.
They're stealing your money.
Maybe we should eat organic.